Alright, what's going on, everybody? So in one of my last videos, I was pretty harsh to your social media manager who isn't doing so great for your social, and I may or may not have made him cry. But today, I want to share some tips that I've found really work when trying to boost performance of videos. So maybe your social media manager or editor can use these and redeem themselves. Who knows? Maybe. So here are some tips I personally use when editing videos to make them perform better. Tip number one is edit faster, and not the actual act of editing, but you want to edit the video to be faster. Especially if it's talking head content, you want to reduce a lot of the uhs, ums, pauses, and other drag moments in your content to make the video flow faster. Now, if the person that you're editing is very bad in front of the camera, or you're not fantastic in front of the camera and say or pause very frequently, it can get a little jittery. So you don't want to do it all the time, simply because sometimes it can get a little crazy. Oh my God, I'm shutting my phone up. Overall, this helps the video move significantly faster. I have personally taken 65-second, even 70-second edits and taken them down to 45 or 50 seconds purely from removing any dead space in the videos. That's a good segue into tip number two, because tip number two is cut out all the uhs and ums. I know this might seem like a repeat of tip number one, but tip number one is purely just removing anything that makes the video longer than it necessarily needs to be. Any long moments that can be cut out, anything like that. Tip number two is purely about the uhs and the ums. Unless they are on brand personally, the content is super valuable or informative, or it drives home a point, you want to take out the uhs and ums. They'll kill your engagement because it seems like you don't really know what you're talking about. It's just not a good thing overall. 3. Try to put a new visual every 2 to 4 seconds on screen in some capacity. Now, something I realized when I was training other editors to edit content of my own for my clients, etc., I noticed that when I said put an edit every 2 to 4 seconds, the edits got repetitive. So what I started saying is put a new visual every 2 to 4 seconds. This can be a new subtitle, a new transition, a punch in, a punch out, some kind of animation, a graphic on the screen, movement, transitions, whatever you can think of. But it also can't be repetitive. If every 2 to 4 seconds you're doing a cut that's in, out, in, out, in, out, that eventually gets boring, par for the course, and possibly even a little jarring for the audience. So you have to do new things to keep it visually interesting. Now, the type of content you produce might vary, and you may not have to do this for maximum engagement. A lot of my videos are 3, 4, and 5 minutes on TikTok, and yet they still perform fantastic because the content is good. It's educational for me. But what I'm saying is mostly just overall general best practices. Cool? Cool. Number 4 is keep it audibly interesting as well. You just handled all the visuals, you've gone through, you've added a new visual every 2, 4, 5 seconds, whenever you can fit one in that doesn't feel forced. And now you want to keep it audibly interesting as well. If they're only listening to you talk or the video happening, but there's not a lot of music, or the music's quiet, or there's not a lot of sound effects or whatever, and it's just visually interesting, you're gonna lose people. Try to keep it audibly interesting so people get immersed in the piece of content. So they're there, they're feeling with you, they're hearing with you, they're smelling with you, they are seeing everything that is happening along with you. I know it sounds weird when I say it that way, but audio plays a pretty big part in that. These are just a few tips that I have personally used to try to increase engagement on different videos on TikTok. Now, there are a few exceptions to these rules. That would be trends, informative videos, and comedic videos. But a video in those 3 categories may not always apply. So I'm gonna explain. When you're participating in a trend or recording a video with a trending sound, people are typically far more likely to wait an extended period of time for the outcome, because in theory, they already know what the outcome is going to be. It's all depending on what your unique view and path, how they get to that end result. So with that being said, they're usually willing to wait longer, so the video can be longer and you have a little more leeway. For informative videos, like I said earlier, some of my best performing videos are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes long at 30,000, 50,000, 80,000, 100,000 views. And the engagement ratios on those videos are just absolutely bonkers. But how did I do that? The content was really good. And I don't mean that to like pat myself on the shoulder or anything. I'm just creating videos that I know I would have wanted to watch when I was at a certain earlier stage in my career. I was creating photo editing videos showing people how I edited a picture from raw to edited with no cuts or anything, just showing them how I took it from A to B and saying everything out loud that I was thinking in my head while I was doing it. With that being said, people love to see the behind the scenes stuff that I'm doing because it's not a view that a lot of people get to see. So when they're scrolling and they get to see that, it's really cool. If your content is really, really juicy, you have a lot more liberty to stretch it out. The last one being comedy. Look, if you're a funny person, you can probably make silence, uhs, ums, and things like that and awkward moments work in your favor. But you have to be funny. If you're not as funny as you think you might be, your videos are not going to perform. I'm sorry. Maybe they will. If you just post them again and again and again long enough and just keep creating for a long enough time horizon, there's no way you're not gonna be successful. But we're talking about trying to get the most performance out of your videos right at the start. If you're really, really funny or have a desire to be a comedian in the space that you're in and your videos aren't performing super great right away, keep going with that. Keep doing your thing, even the informative stuff. Keep going, keep doing your thing. I'm just speaking towards what most people, general best practices to try to get the best performance out of their videos possible. Nothing that I say here is concrete. You can do whatever the hell you want for as long as you want, and if you do it long enough, you're probably gonna get the attention that you're wanting. But these are just a few tips you can follow to maybe make it happen a little faster. Or not, whatever you feel. Comment down below if you think these things were useful. If I've provided any value to you in any way, please drop a like on this video. It really, really does make a difference. Subscribe if you wanna see future videos, and I will see you guys next time.